The email from Swiss National Bank arrived during my morning coffee. Dear Ms. Emma Crawford, this is a courtesy notification regarding attempted access to account #7749. I nearly dropped my phone, my hands shaking as I read further. Someone had tried to access my grandmother's private account, an account only she and I knew existed. My phone rang almost immediately. Emma, darling. My mother's voice dripped with artificial sweetness. We need you to come over for dinner tonight. We have some family matters to discuss. Family matters. That's what they always called it when they were about to drop a bomb. I'd heard that phrase when they announced their divorce, when Dad remarried 2 years ago, and when they declared my stepbrother Jason was taking over the family business. I'll be there, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. I already knew what this dinner would be about. Walking into my parents' sprawling mansion that evening felt like entering a carefully staged play. Mom, Dad, his new wife Patricia, and my stepbrother Jason were all seated in a formal dining room, looking far too pleased with themselves. Emma, sweetie, sit down, Mom gestured to the only empty chair. At 32, I was being treated like a child about to be disciplined. We need to talk about your grandmother's inheritance. Ah, there it was. My grandmother Eleanor had passed away 6 months ago, leaving behind what everyone thought was a modest estate. The family knew about her main accounts, her properties, and her investments, all of which had been substantial. What they didn't know was that Grandma Eleanor had been far cleverer than anyone gave her credit for. What about it? I asked, taking a small sip of water. Dad cleared his throat, straightening his tie, a nervous habit he'd had since I was little. We've made some adjustments to the distribution of assets. Given the circumstances, we feel it's more appropriate for the inheritance to go to Jason's family. Jason, my 35-year-old stepbrother who'd never worked a day in his life, smirked from across the table. His wife Amanda, clutching their newborn son, nodded approvingly. After all, Patricia chimed in, they have a baby now. They need the security more than a single woman with a stable career. I sat there, letting their words wash over me. They went on about family responsibility, about doing what's right, about how I should understand. All I could think about was my last conversation with Grandma Eleanor. They'll try to take everything, she'd said, her blue eyes sharp despite her illness. Your father and his new family, your mother with her social climbing. They've been trying to get their hands on my real fortune for years. She pressed a small key into my palm. But I've made sure they can't. The Swiss account, that's your safety net, my darling. Don't tell them, not until you have to. We've already transferred most of the assets, Mom was saying, pulling me back to the present. The properties, the investments, the main accounts, all redistributed to provide for the baby's future. I see, I said quietly. And you didn't think to consult me? Oh, Emma, Mom sighed, don't be difficult. You know this is for the best. You've always been so independent. You don't need the money like they do. I watched as Jason and Amanda exchanged triumphant looks. My mother dabbed at imaginary tears with her monogrammed napkin, while Dad avoided my gaze entirely. They thought they'd won, thought they'd managed to strip me of my grandmother's legacy. Well, I said, standing up, if that's all decided, I should get going. Early meeting tomorrow. That's it? Jason asked, clearly disappointed by my lack of reaction. No argument. I smiled, thinking of the Swiss bank's email. What's there to argue about? You've clearly made up your minds. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed again. Another email from Swiss National Bank. Unauthorized access attempt blocked. Security protocols activated. Please contact your account manager at your earliest convenience. I started my car, thinking about the fortune hidden away in that Swiss account. The one my grandmother had spent decades building in secret. The one worth 3 times what my family thought they'd just stolen. Sometimes the best revenge isn't an argument. It's letting people think they've won, right up until the moment they realize they never had a chance. The next morning, I sat in a pristine office of Mr. Weber, the Swiss bank's local representative. The leather chair creaked softly as I shifted, watching him review the security protocols on his computer. Miss Crawford, he said, his accent slight but precise. Your grandmother was quite thorough in her preparations. The attempted access triggered several security measures she put in place. I nodded, thinking of how methodical Grandma Eleanor had always been. What exactly did they try to do? He turned his monitor, showing me a series of documents. They presented forged papers claiming power of attorney, attempting to transfer the accounts to various names, primarily Jason Crawford and Amanda Crawford. Of course they had. I could picture my mother's handwriting on the forgeries, Dad's signature carefully mimicked. They probably spent weeks planning this, thinking they were so clever. The interesting part, Mr. Weber continued, a small smile playing at his lips, is that your grandmother anticipated this exact scenario. She left specific instructions. He pulled out a sealed envelope, the paper thick and expensive. This was to be delivered to you only if someone attempted unauthorized access. My hands trembled slightly as I opened it, recognizing Grandma Eleanor's elegant handwriting. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, they've finally shown their true colors. I've watched them circle like vultures for years, your father becoming weaker under Patricia's influence, your mother's greed growing with each passing day. But you, my darling girl, you've remained true to yourself. The account they tried to access is only the beginning. There's more, much more. Mr. Weber has all the details. Show them what real power looks like. All I love, Grandma Eleanor. Mr. Weber cleared his throat. Your grandmother set up an intricate network of accounts and investments. The attempted breach has activated her contingency plan. Would you like to proceed? I thought about last night's dinner, about Jason's smug face, about Patricia's condescending tone. Yes, I said firmly. Show me everything. Over the next 2 hours, Mr. Weber revealed the full scope of Grandma Eleanor's fortune. The Swiss account was just the tip of the iceberg. There were investment portfolios, real estate holdings, and offshore accounts, all carefully hidden from the family's prying eyes. And now, he said, typing something into his computer, per your grandmother's instructions, we can begin the process of reclaiming the assets they've attempted to transfer. My phone buzzed. A panicked text from Mom. Emma, something's wrong with the accounts. Call me immediately. Then Dad. We need to talk. It's urgent. Even Jason, who never texted me, sent a message. What did you do? I silenced my phone, turning back to Mr. Weber. What exactly is happening to their accounts? He'd adjusted his glasses. The properties they attempted to transfer are being frozen pending investigation of fraudulent documentation. The investment accounts they accessed are being audited. And he paused, allowing himself a small smile. The trust fund they set up for Jason's baby is being reviewed for potential criminal activity. I sat back, letting it sink in. Grandma Eleanor hadn't just protected my inheritance. She'd set up a trap for anyone who tried to steal it. My phone kept buzzing. Patricia was calling now, probably realizing their perfect plan was unraveling. Amanda was sending multiple texts, each more desperate than the last. There's one more thing, Mr. Weber said, pulling out another envelope. Your grandmother left instructions about the family business. I opened it, reading quickly, then read it again, hardly believing what I was seeing. She left me controlling interest in the company. He nodded. Hidden in a shell corporation. The paperwork is ironclad. Your father only thought he had transferred control to Jason. In reality, he never had the authority to do so. I stood by the window, watching the city below. All those years of being underestimated, of being told I was too independent, too focused on my career, not family-oriented enough, and all along, Grandma Eleanor had been watching, planning, preparing. What would you like to do next, Miss Crawford? Mr. Weber asked. I turned back to him, my decision made. Begin the process. All of it. And Mr. Weber, please make sure every transaction is completely transparent. I want them to see exactly what's happening. As I left his office, my phone buzzed one final time. A text from my mother. Please, Emma, we can explain everything. Don't do this to your family. I thought about family, about what that word really meant. About Grandma Eleanor, who'd seen through their facades and planned accordingly. About the way they tried to take everything from me, thinking I wouldn't fight back. Sorry, I typed back. But you should have thought about family before you tried to steal mine. 3 weeks later, I sat in what used to be my father's office at Crawford Industries, reviewing the final documentation of the company's restructuring. The view from the top floor hadn't changed, but everything else had. My phone lit up with a message from Mr. Weber. All transfers complete. Legal proceedings initiated. Would you like to proceed with the family meeting? Yes, I replied. Send them up. I heard them before I saw them. Mom's heels clicking frantically on the marble floor, Dad's heavy footsteps, Patricia's shrill voice carrying through the hallway. The security team, newly hired, opened the door to let them in. They looked different now. Gone was the smugness, replaced by barely concealed panic. Jason's designer suit was wrinkled. Amanda's perfect makeup couldn't hide her sleepless nights, and Patricia's collected demeanor had cracked completely. Emma, Mom started, stepping forward. He'd have to stop this madness. We're your family. I gestured to the chairs arranged before the desk. Please sit down. We have a lot to discuss. Discuss? Patricia scoffed. You've frozen our accounts. The house, the cars, everything's being investigated. Jason can't even access his credit cards. I opened the leather portfolio on my desk, removing several documents. Actually, you mean my house, my cars, and my company's credit cards. Let's talk about fraud, shall we? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Now, sweetheart, we can explain. The forged power of attorney documents, I interrupted. The falsified transfer papers, or perhaps the backdated company ownership documents you tried to create for Jason. Amanda clutched her baby closer. Think about your nephew. You're taking away his future. No, I corrected her. I'm protecting his future from people who think fraud is a family value. I spread out the documents, watching their faces as they recognized Grandma Eleanor's signature, the bank statements, the property deeds, all the proof of what they tried to steal. Grandmother left everything to me, I explained calmly. The company, the properties, the investments, all of it. She knew you'd try something like this. She prepared for it. Those accounts you thought you were accessing? Decoys. The real fortune was hidden where you'd never think to look. You can't do this to us, Mom whispered, her voice shaking. Actually, I can. And I am. But, I paused, pulling out another set of documents. I'm also giving you a choice. They leaned forward, hope flickering in their eyes. Option 1. I proceed with the legal charges. Fraud, forgery, attempted theft. The prosecutors are very interested in this case. You'll lose everything, including your freedom. Jason's face went pale. Patricia grabbed Dad's arm. Option 2. I continued. You sign these papers. They're resignation letters, legal agreements, and statements admitting what you did. Sign them, and I'll allow you each a modest monthly allowance. Enough to live comfortably, but not extravagantly. You'll have no access to company assets, no control over any properties, and no contact with business operations. And the baby? Amanda asked quietly. I softened slightly. I've set up a trust fund for him, one that only I can control. He'll have everything he needs for education and a good start in life. But you and Jason won't have access to it. They huddled together, whispering frantically. I watched them, remembering all the family dinners where they'd plotted against me, all the times they dismissed my achievements, all the ways they tried to manipulate Grandma Eleanor's legacy. Finally, Dad reached for a pen. One by one, they signed the documents, their signatures shaky but clear. You'll receive your first allowance next month, I said, gathering the papers. The security team will escort you out. Don't try to contact me directly. Everything will go through the lawyers from now on. As they turned to leave, Mom paused at the door. How long had she been planning this? Years, I replied. Grandmother saw who you really were long before you showed me. After they left, I walked to the window, watching their cars pull away from the building. My phone buzzed with a message from Mr. Weber. All documents received. Shall we proceed with the charitable foundation your grandmother outlined? I smiled, thinking of Grandma Eleanor's final gift, not just the fortune, but the wisdom to use it well. Yes, I replied. Let's begin. Opening my desk drawer, I pulled out her last photo, taken at my graduation. She was beaming with pride, her eyes twinkling with the secret she kept all those years. You were right, Grandma, I whispered. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about winning. It's about proving them wrong about who you are. I turned back to my computer, ready to start building something new, something that would make her truly proud. Sometimes, family isn't about blood or names. It's about who believes in you enough to help you become your strongest self.